All right, there we are. We are live here on Zoom. We're live on YouTube and we're live in the Facebook page. I don't want to waste anybody's time here, so let me get directly to how this is going to work. This is an informal meeting. It's the first meeting of a bi-monthly thing that I'm going to be hosting called What Would Dr. Darrell Do? Today I decided that I only wanted to make it around the AO scanner. So there's no real format here. Here's my plan. And my plan is to go for about an hour. If you have to leave at any time during that or after that, it's all right. I don't get offended by that. But depending on how the flow of this, and if there's a lot of questions, I might stick around a little bit longer to try to answer questions. But here's how I plan for this to go. Who knows how this is really going to go? My plan is to do an inner voice scan and quickly analyze it because it's me and I know what I'm going through right now and I know what I've gone through today. I have some concept of what's going on inside of me and I want to analyze that live. At some point, either right behind that or at some point in the hour, I have a case study of a client that I work with and I have his last inner voice scan and his last easy scan. So I want to everybody who's coming in should be muted. I thought I just heard something. All right, no, I guess I didn't. I have his last easy scan and his last inner voice scan. And I want to go through there and connect the dots a little bit. But what I mostly want to do is to hear from you all. So here's the reason that this whole thing came about. I'm assuming that most of the people who are in this live right now, I'm assuming that most people have an AO Scan subscription. And so most people are probably in the Solex or the AO Scan group. And people ask questions all the time in that group. And sometimes, and it could just be me, maybe I'm just tripping a little bit, but sometimes the questions after being asked, sometimes the answers, they either don't answer the question or they answer, but they don't really answer the question, meaning like they have something to say, but it doesn't have anything to do with what was asked. Or often people seem to be shamed for not knowing things or not understanding how this works, not understanding how quantum physics could work, not understanding how you could have a scanning device in your hand and it touches somebody across the globe. And technically, if we start moving to other planets, this would work just the same because space and time is irrelevant. But the reality is nobody understands this. So as I was saying earlier in the live that I did earlier today, I do a live on Thursdays, even people who are quantum physicists, they accept quantum physics. They accept quantum entanglement, but they don't understand it because it doesn't have any relative basis to what it is that we know. The only thing is we can say, oh, well, when this happens, that seems to happen. But we haven't tapped science enough yet to understand quantum physics. We've only tapped science enough to accept that quantum physics exists. And it's not a silly question to wonder how these things happen. It's not a silly question to wonder how all of this works. And I'm not going to be able to answer you. Don't ask me that either. Don't ask me how it works because we would be wasting one another's time. I won't pretend like I know that with you. But what I'll do is I'll try to give you some understanding as I have gained knowledge of quantum entanglement over the last 20 or 30 years. I'll try to give you some knowledge that might help you to alleviate concerns. I'm not going to be answering anything like, what does this mean? Here's my scan. What does that mean? I'm going to tell you from the start, my blanket answer is nothing means anything on its own. Everything has to be investigated and everything has to be correlated with other things. So one scan saying parasite hookworm, what does that mean? It simply means that that particular frequency did not resonate well in your body at that time. Does that mean you have that parasite? I don't know. Does it mean you might be standing next to somebody who has that parasite and you're pulling in the frequency? Could be, but I don't know. But if every day when you do your scan, the parasite hookworm comes up, or if it comes up 60% of the time or 70% of the time, now you're dealing with a situation where that particular frequency is constantly out of balance in you. And that, from my perspective, is when you give it weight. The other reason you might give it weight is you might be experiencing something right now. So if you're experiencing a stomach ache and you've been dealing with gastrointestinal issues all of a sudden, out of the blue, and now you got these parasites that come up. Well, now the parasites make a little bit more sense because they are in line with an so you have the frequency that's out of balance at the same time as you have physical body being out of balance. And now that might hold some weight in the first scan. But let's be honest. I don't know how many of you are practitioners. I'm a practitioner. I don't really care what the parasite is that my client has. If it's hookworm, if it's this or if it's that, my parasite protocol doesn't change based off of what shows up there. So my goal with these classes is just to give you a new way of looking at things. I'm not saying don't ask whatever questions you have other than how does quantum physics works. Don't ask that. And what does this mean? Don't ask that. But what I'm going to be doing when I answer questions is to try to guide you into thinking differently if you don't have a frame of reference. So when we take questions, I'm going to ask people to raise their hand. And I'm going to ask for, and I think that you do that by clicking on reactions and raise hand. If I'm wrong about that, somebody, if you could put in the chat, tell everybody how, because I just see the hands. I'm not on the other side of that. And depending on how many hands are raised, that will determine what I'm doing at any particular time. If you raise your hand, please have your camera on because you're going to be coming into this stream. I know right now you only see me, but when we get to that part, you'll see both of us. And if some of you have links to scans that you want looked at, understand, A, they've got to be your scan, all right? And B, we're all looking. So I'm going to pull it up on the screen. If you don't want that, don't send me your scan. I'm going to, this is being broadcast, not just to Zoom, but it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, and the archive will be there, possibly a promo. This could show up anywhere. If you have issues about your scans being shown, don't send me a link. So if you know you got questions, please start raising your hand now because I'm about to do a scan on myself. I'm a little curious. I've had a really challenging day and I'm about to do a scan on myself just to see what comes up. I am just going to do my inner voice scan here. So this is my iPad that's sitting right next to me. And I'm going to go to inner voice and I'm going to do inner voice with the vitals. I always do inner voice with vitals. We can get into that at a different time, but as to why, but I'm going to do inner voice with vitals and I'm going to press this and talk in 1 second. Hello, this is Daryl. I am in front of a whole bunch of people doing this voice scan, and I really hope and pray that nothing like chlamydia or gonorrhea or anything like that pops up while I'm on this live feed around the world, because I don't know how I'm going to explain that. Okay, I guess I talked a little bit too much. So when you do this vitals, and again, I'm assuming that everybody who's here, I'm assuming that everybody has a subscription, so I didn't show you anything that you don't know. If you don't have a subscription, well, just sit back and watch and contact me later if you don't have anybody that you're working with, and maybe we'll see about getting you one. So this, when you just do this, it goes for about 45 seconds, and then it gives you your results. It's always going to give you four reports, the top 3 and the bottom 1. So I'm dealing with clients all the time, and I'm always telling them, don't, they look at this and they say, well, this is still out of balance. Your balance is a relative thing. You're always going to have 4 notes out of 12. and it is the 4 that is the highest and the 1 that's the lowest. It's always going to come up. Even if you are in a state of perfect balance, there's still going to be nuanced differences in the frequencies. All right. So let me go over here to the report. And so I don't have time to go into this right now, but, oh, this is great. It's a perfect example. These numbers here up at the top, most people tell you they don't mean anything. To me, they mean everything. So I'm just going to say this inner voice literally has everything that you need when you're dealing with trying to help to figure out what to do with people. And when I'm dealing with my clients, I only ever send the inner voice report. I never send anything else because inner voice has everything. All right, let's look at these numbers really, really quickly. I'm going to try to make this fast. You have the numerical value on the top, and I am looking at how far away they are from each other. So my highest number was 20.3. That was C. My second highest number, it looks like it was 16.4. My third highest number was 14.2. And then we go down to 13.1. Now let's look at what my lowest number is. 7.6. Again, let me try to do this very quickly. Is there a big difference between 7.6 and the second lowest number, 8.4? Not a huge difference. My highest number, 20.3. Is there a big difference between 20.3 and my second highest number, which was 14.2? There's a big difference. So from my perspective, this 20.3 note, which is C, is screaming at me. When I look at this report, I am going to give more value to C. In this report, the highest note. I know that very often you're told whatever the suppressed note is, give that the highest priority. Sometimes people teach that way. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just telling you that's not my perspective. My perspective is when you have one that is far away from the average, whether that be high or low, that particular note is screaming. So now I'm curious as to what that is. I mean, I know what C is, but I don't know what specific vitals are going to come up for me. Acknowledged versus self-validated. That is the emotion that is the pendulum of C. When you look at this body part here, this is telling me what areas of my body are most affected when that note is out of balance. And we're looking at the shoulder muscles here. I can attest to that. And we're looking at the digestive system. I can attest to that. Also, it looks like we got some lungs and going on here. So let's look down here. Emotions, stress, lack of self-worth, relationship conflict. The stress part resonates with me greatly. Lack of self-worth, I think that I can see where my pendulum might be swinging on that. Vitals, mucosa. I don't know what that is. Coenzyme Q12, cellulase. All right. So let's look at, this is just one in one instance. I'm not looking at the potential causes because those are just potentials unless something is really standing out on here. But the imbalances and suggestions are real. Bladder, reduced stimulates, increased hydration, increased trace minerals. I can tell you that I must have peed 25 times today. I have. And I know that I've not been as hydrated as I should. And I have coffee every morning. I have coffee whether I'm going to have a lot of water or not. I have coffee knowing that coffee dehydrates me, pushes out my minerals, and I know how much water that I need to drink in order to balance that out. And sometimes today in particular, I did not get it all in. All right. So that absolutely resonates with me. Sacral muscles, pericardium and heart muscles, pericardium and the heart, from a meridian standpoint, they have a huge representation on emotions when you're on a pendulum of emotions. So I am looking at this, and if I were dealing with someone, I would look at all 4 of their scans, but I would give more weight to this one. And if I started making recommendations that I wanted to land now, I would give recommendations based off of this one. All right. So I would probably run a playlist for this person or me of ultimate emotions. And I would probably add to that playlist something for bladder infections and heart. And when I look at the comparison of pericardium and heart muscles, and I see CoQ10 inside of there, CoQ10 is something that helps the heart. So if that continues to show up, then I'm going to actually look to grab some real CoQ10. But for right now, I'm looking at supporting the heart muscles, the pericardium, and the bladder, and the ultimate emotions inside of the scanner. And I'm going to watch whether or not I see coenzyme CoQ10 continuously coming up. Because if I do, then I'm going to actually need something for the physical heart itself. And that's one of the things that CoQ10 does. All right, so that's a quick analysis of that. I could go through the other three, but I'm not going to because I have people raising their hand. All right, so I am going to, Shirley is coming up. I am going to have Shirley to unmute herself, please.
Hi, Daryl. Can you hear me?
I can. Hold on one second, Shirley.
Okay.
Oh, this is crazy. So did I not put it in? Hold on one second, Shirley. Yeah, I didn't put it in over here, but here we go. Here now I can see and hear you.
I have two screens, so that's why
all right. I can see half of it.
So these are about 4 general questions, sort of similar things. I have put in sleep 3 times under multicast.
Wait, and can you say that again?
That way you're getting 3 different flowers come up.
Wait, I start over with that. You have done what 3 times?
If you're putting in multicast and put sleep in as the playlist.
Okay. And
then you have 3 different flowers coming up. Is it good to run 3 like that, or should they? I know how many.
My guess, you're saying you're going into multicast and putting 3 instances of yourself in there and running the exact same playlist 3 times with the flower that's been selected on each. Am I understanding you correctly? Okay.
That's right, because different flowers do come up.
Yeah. My guess, and this is a guess because who can really tell how that affects the body, because this is all a huge experiment. My guess is that you're canceling each other out because you're scanning yourself and you're finding what flower is resonating with you, and your body is probably assuming you already have that flower when you do it again. So
okay,
I would just use the first flower that comes up unless I've gone through a complete treatment, and then I'd do another one.
Okay. When you're doing multicast, how many can you put in at a time? Like, I guess it depends, different people, how bad their body is, or
how many playlists can you put in?
Yeah, under multicast.
For one person, or how many people specifically?
One person.
I don't know that there's a limit on that. I don't know, because I just found out recently that you could do a bunch of different playlists for one person. And I've been now doing that for myself and my mother. I've been putting multiple playlists. I do 2 or 3, but you have to remember, think about how many things are in each playlist. Because if you've got one playlist that's got 2 things in it, and another playlist that's got 2 things in it, that's going to be the same as running one playlist with 4 things in it. So how many frequencies are you comfortable getting at one time? You know, and that answer is different for everybody. I don't know that there's an answer of how many can you do, but that answer is going to be different for everybody. Most people stop around 10 or 11. And if the totality of multiple playlists has more frequencies than 10 or 11 by that standard, then it would be going overboard. Does that make sense?
You mean 10 or 11 in items in the playlist, or
10 or 11 frequencies. Now, before multicast, we didn't have the option of doing multiple playlists. So, you know, let's look at, let's just think about everything being in a bag, right? You have something in a bag, and at one point you had And let's just say you had dollar bills in the bag, right? And you have 20 bags with $1 bills in each bag, but $20 is
Hmm.
all you could possibly take, right? You could give it to you in, you could put all 20 bills in one bag, or you could put it in 20 bags. But once you
Yeah.
get past the totality of what's in those bags, that's when you've reached your limit. Now, it's not a
Right.
limit that's been imposed by Solex necessarily. This is the limit that most people feel are too many frequencies for them. And my point is, it doesn't matter whether or not that total number of frequencies is in one playlist or divided up into 5 playlists. If
Right. Okay.
if 12 is your max, then that's the standard, not the number of playlists.
Right. 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 Yeah, I understand that.
All right, I'm going to
Yeah.
take one more, and I got other people I got to move to.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you have one more?
I do.
Go ahead.
How often do you do body? I know you said you do inner voice all the time. How often do you do body system and comprehensive?
Well, I do
Like,
easy scan all the time when I'm working with somebody. I just don't send them the reports. And so
yes.
if I'm working with somebody, or if it's a family member, or if it's myself, I tend to do an easy scan every day. When you do an easy scan, as you know, you get an inner voice in that easy scan, and you can always just
Hmm.
go straight to inner voice and look at it. What I'm doing is correlating things. I'm looking at the easy scan and looking at things in the background. And I do a body systems about once a week, but I don't look
Right.
at it. What I'm doing with body systems is running the report and optimizing the body. And then when I find things in the other reports that make me wonder what's going on, if I find something, say, that makes me wonder why is this person constantly having connective tissue issues, right? Then I'll
Right.
go back and I'll look at the body systems, and I'll just go
Right.
to the connective issue portion, and I'll look at the emotions that are tied with that, and then I'll realize more of what's going on. From my
Okay.
perspective, the body systems report will drive you insane if you really start trying to analyze it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
And what about comprehensive? How often do you do that one?
I do
Or
that with the easy scan unless I'm dealing with somebody that has a specific thing that I want to see, and then I'll go in and look at the spine or the heart or whatever. But in general, I allow the easy scan to pick out the comprehensive portions for me.
okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. All right. We're going to go next to Bridget, and I'm going to ask Bridget to unmute herself.
Hi, I'm driving. Can you hear me?
I can, but I don't know why you're not showing up. Hold on one second.
Well, maybe because I have my camera off.
Oh, okay. Maybe that is it. You go right ahead, though.
So, two questions. The first one is on a daily basis, I know you said you do the easy scan,
Mm-hmm.
and the easy scan includes the inner voice, right? The inner voice and the vitals.
Yes. It includes inner voice, vitals, and a part of the comprehensive.
Okay.
And that part of the comprehensive is based off what it finds in the quick scan, the inner voice, and the vitals. It
Okay, I
determines
see.
what body systems appear to need support and then scans them to verify it.
So I'm just wondering, like on a daily basis, for me to do sort of an assessment of what's showing up for me that may be showing up multiple times, do you just recommend doing the easy scan and seeing what shows up? Or do you recommend doing, like you mentioned just a minute ago, doing the body scan once a week or the body systems once a week? And then if something continuously shows up, then I can dive deeper into what it might be.
So I just want to be clear on that. I think you said it accurately as I meant it, but I just want to be clear. The body system scan that I do once a week, I do that for the purposes of optimizing all of the systems of the body. But what I was saying is, I don't analyze that report, but I do the easy scan every day, and I look for trends. And when I'm looking for those trends, if I find something that I don't quite understand, or I don't know how to get rid of, or I don't know what's causing it, then I will see if there's a body systems portion that relates to that. You know, like if I have something that's constantly showing up in blood, I might look at the cardiovascular part of body systems to try to understand, to try to see what might be causing some cardiovascular issues, or if there's something in the heart that I'm constantly seeing. But the easy scan optimizes the body, and that it is that optimization that's going to give your body the best benefit to heal. So I recommend doing the easy scan if it doesn't drive you crazy, because it drives some people crazy looking at it, analyzing it. And I have a family member that I am not allowed to send his easy. Like I have to do this particular scan in a specific way, and I have to make sure that I send him a very particular portion of the scan, not the whole thing. Otherwise, he obsesses over it. If that is the type of person you are, then I would suggest, and I'm not suggesting it is, but if that is the type of person you are, I would suggest you do the easy scan and try not to look at it. If you are not able to do that, then do the inner voice scan with vitals. But tell me about how you feel are you comfortable with these scans?
I am comfortable with them. I mean, sometimes I do them and I don't look at it at all. I just do them and optimize it and feel like it's going to do what it needs to do at that moment. And I don't look at it. But a part of me does want to compare, like maybe from week to week, compare something to see if it continuously shows up so that I can then dive deeper. And I didn't know what report to actually run or to compare to see if it keeps showing up. If it was the body systems, the easy scan, the inner voice with vitals.
I wouldn't look at the body systems about seeing what's coming up, because what the body systems does is it tells you what systems are most stressed in each system. So you could have a perfectly good running cardiovascular system, right? Perfectly, no issues at all, but there's still nuances of stress. And so if you look at the body systems report on your cardiovascular system, it will make you think it's messed up. And it'll make you think that these are the things that's messing it up. You can have a system, because all of this is energy and frequency. You can have a system that runs perfectly, but there's still high and low stressors of that system. And so looking at the body systems report from my perspective doesn't do you any good unless you already know that there's an issue there, because that is when you're looking at what is causing the issue that's there, because no body system report is ever going to look normal. It's always going to have viruses and bacterias and emotions. It's always going to have that because the variation of frequency is there. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, but the vitals and the comprehensive, that's different. That changes based off of what it's picking up from your body in that moment. And the easy scan, from my perspective, gets you right into that place so that you can constantly look. Because when you're looking at the easy scan, what you're actually looking at is what things didn't even stay balanced after optimization. I got scanned, I got optimized, and this still was out of balance. So does that mean that, oh crap, now this system is messed up? Not necessarily. You know, I tell somebody, if you happen to take a scan of your car, I don't mean the AL scanner, I mean, those things that they plug into your car when you go to the shop. If they had one of those things plugged in your car while you were driving 70 miles an hour down a mountain and around a curve, you're going to have all kinds of stresses on your tires and your struts and your shocks in that moment. And it probably will last the entire time that you're driving down that mountain. But does that tell you does that tell you how good your tires are? No. Does that tell you how good your shocks are? No. Does that tell you how good your struts are? No. What it tells you is, when I got this scan, there was a certain level of stress. Now, if those shocks and struts and tires continues to show up on that scan every day, even when I'm not driving down a mountain, now that's when we need to look at it. But that particular scan just showed that it was doing what it was supposed to do to be able to handle what was being thrown at it. And the body is the same way. When you scan your body, everything that you're seeing is out of balance in the moment that you scan. Is it out of balance more than 50% of the time or 60% of the time? If yes, then that's when you start looking deeper.
Okay, that's perfect. So then I could compare, just say if I've run it 7 days a week, the easy scan, and 6 out of the 7 days a specific thing shows up, then I can dive deeper into that specific thing by going to possibly the body systems and seeing what it may be. Or if I can
Yes.
go down. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm also gonna say this. When you are looking at your scans, you know what? Let me go back over here for a quick second. I'm gonna go to my last vitals. No, let me go back to my last easy scan. Because the easy scan shows what remained out of balance. All right. Every one of these things are categories that we're looking at. You're looking at a bunch of different categories. When I look at this, I'm looking at what category has multiple things that are out of balance. I'm not necessarily looking for the specific thing. For instance, let me see what I got here. I think the parasites was the most that I had here. Well, parasites and allergy. Let's say allergy pollen. So I got 3 in here: tree, dust, or tree mulberry, dust wood, tree willow. These 3 things showed out of balance, right? 3 in the area and how many allergies there are. That's not bad. But I'm not necessarily looking for tree to come back up next time, or dust, or I'm sorry, mulberry to come back up next time, or wood to come back up next time, or willow to come back up next time. I'm looking at, does the allergy category continuously show lots of things that are out of balance? Is that allergy category continuously showing me issues? If the allergy category is, then I'm running some sort of a playlist for allergies. I'm not looking at the specifics of it because I don't care what the specifics of it is. I'm not well, I mean, in some cases you might care if you're really trying to do an investigation on health. But in general, I don't care, because however this manifests, I'm going to treat it the same. Viruses. I don't, unless I'm sick, I don't really care which viruses are showing. But if I have lots of viruses that are showing up often, I'm running a virus protocol. If I have lots of parasites that are showing up often, I'm running a parasite protocol. If I have a lot of bacteria that's showing up often, I'm running a bacteria protocol. It's not so much that strep continues to show up, or gonorrhea, or chlamydia, or any of the other funny ones that we look at and giggle. It's not that they specifically keep coming up. I'm looking at what categories continuously show up when I'm looking at the easy scan. And that will help as well, because you'll say, well, wait a minute, out of the whole week, nothing ever came back up twice. Well, that's not true. I can almost assure you that some category continues to be very heavily populated in your scan, unless you are in perfect health. All right, I am going to go back over here. Let me add. I can't tell this name. I think it's Roman. I'm going to ask to unmute. You'll see it. And when you do, just start speaking. There you go.
It's Ramona's. Hi, Dad.
Ramona's.
Ramona.
You said
Chitty.
Mona? I can just call you Mona. Is that what you said?
You can call me anything.
No, but what did you say, though? I want to be respectful of what you said.
It's Ramona.
Ramona.
Yes. And
Okay.
Chitty is my last name. It's my first and last name together.
All right. Well, it's an honor to meet you.
Thank you. Same,
Yes.
likewise. Okay. I just have a question. When you're running your scan, like you say, it's best to run 3 scans, and then the scanner will get to know you. So every time you run a scan, how do you print? Do you print out your scan, or do you like have a spreadsheet where you like note things down? Because every time you do a scan and then you rescan again, you lose the first scan. So how do you keep track of the first, second, third scan? Because
Well,
I've been printing out my scans and it's like lots of pages.
yeah, you got to stop that immediately. Stop it. Hang on. Do you see this little red icon right here?
Email, yes.
If you click that, you email that scan to yourself.
Right.
And when you email that scan to yourself, it comes with a unique link. And that unique link you can continuously click on, and you can go back and you can see, and you got to do it from every view that you like. For instance, what scan do you like the best?
I always used to start with the comprehensive. I don't know why, but I used to do the comprehensive.
You do the whole
And-
comprehensive.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you have been driving yourself insane. I would imagine, because that,
Yes.
first of all, that
Because
takes a long
23
time.
pages. I've been printing 23 pages at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So if I were you, I would go and I would do the easy scan. Have you seen the easy scan button?
Yes, I'm on it right now. So
So if you
I've
do
done
the
it.
easy scan, it is a shortened version of the comprehensive. What the easy scan does is it gives you all of the inner voice, it gives you all of the vitals, and then it gives and it analyzes the inner voice, it analyzes the vitals, and it determines what inside of the body in the comprehensive should we start looking at, and then it does a comprehensive, and then when you're done, I know you say you're on there, but have you actually done an easy scan before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you do that easy scan, it shows you on that page what is out of balance in your vitals and what remained out of balance inside of your comprehensive, or the portion of the comprehensive that it did, right? But
so
what
the
you
portion of the comprehensive will be the last part where the
Yes.
pictures of what. Okay.
Yes. Now, don't think that, because you sometimes only see one or two things there. Don't think that that's all it scanned. Let me show you what you can do. Going back over here to my iPad, if I go here back to the main page and I go down here to comprehensive, and I can click on any of these. I can click on inner voice vitals combined. I'm just going to click on custom scan, and then I click on reports. This report shows me what it scanned. This is not the last comprehensive that I did solo. This is the last comprehensive that I did inside of my easy scan. And it shows me everything that it scanned. So in essence, this is what my body was telling the scanner that you really want to look into. And it scanned and optimized those things. But that's not really answering the question that you just asked me. So let me just really try to get back to that. You specifically asked me, how do you keep track? And if you need to go in there and email every one of those reports to yourself, look up the reports and click the button for mail on each one of those. And then that way you have it there to compare. So then what I normally do is then I open them up on web browsers, and I open them up in different tabs, and look at the comparison as I go across. I do have a spreadsheet that I use sometimes with the vitals in order to look and see where there are some similarities and where things happen. But what I've started doing is just taking notes, meaning I don't write down everything. I write down the things that stand out. So in that report that I just showed you that I did, I would be writing not bacteria. I'd be writing parasites and viruses. I think there were 3 of each in that. So I'd be looking at the category, not the specific, but the category. And then I would say Monday, viruses, parasites. And then I'd look at Tuesday and see whether or not viruses and parasites showed up in a significant way again. And if it did, I'd just put a check mark next to it. And at the end of the week, now I have my categories of things that kept standing out. But I would be looking at it from the easy scan view, because the easy scan view allows you to see what stayed out of balance even after optimization.
Thank you for clarifying that. I've got
Does
it.
that help?
It does. It
Okay.
does, because I've been printing out and laying it all to look at each one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
You have
now
to, yeah. And
look
I'm
at
just hoping that
category.
at some point Solex will give us reports that that don't have that can easily be printed out.
Yep.
But right now, no such thing.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you. Absolutely. All right. I am going to. All right. Let me remove her. All right. I am going to go to Jenny next. And Jenny, you should have a ask to unmute button. Before you start speaking, Jenny, let me just say quickly to everybody, if you had your hand up, can you click the button to bring it down? And if you have another question, go ahead and put it back up. There's so many hands up that I don't know who I've actually gotten to. I think I know who I've actually gotten to, but I don't know whether or not those people still have more questions. If you have more questions, just put it down and then put it back up, and I'll come back to you. All right. All right, Jenny. Hey.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you.
Good, good. How can I help you?
So, I've been practicing this quite a bit and have gotten really familiar with it. My mom started with me on doing this at the same time. I feel like I'm doing pretty good. She, on the other hand, is one of those that it just seems like it's the opposite. So, running scans, she feels worse. And I'm like, you're probably detoxing, drink more water, let's follow the supplements. For her, she actually got to a point where, like, even just doing the flowers and emotions for that, she would feel worse, like angry, like worse than ever before. So it's worse than anything she's experienced, is what she was telling me. And so a practitioner I work with said, try running the lack of conductivity first. So I did that. Today, she actually asked me to run another one on her because she sees the benefits that my grandfather has had from it. And then she tells me again, yeah, now I feel worse again. And so it's really hard to know what to tell her or
How
to
old is
keep
she?
68.
Do you know how
She
much
has-
water she drinks?
Well, I told her today to make sure she stays hydrated
But do
and
you know
extra
in
vitamin.
general what
I
her
was,
drinking habits are like?
yeah, I don't, she says she drinks enough, but I don't know.
All
Honestly, I'm
right,
not.
let me tell you why I asked that question.
Hmm.
When you're dealing with frequency of any kind, frequency rides on well, it rides on a bunch of different things, but water is one of the main factors that pulls it and pushes it through the body. So if you are trying to I'm just going to tell a really quick story. About 30 years ago, I decided I was going to get healthy. And I went to the health food store and I asked for the best liver cleanse that they had. And they sold it to me. It was great. It's a liver cleanse. It was full of herbs that was going to cleanse out my liver. And at that time, I don't know if you're I'm assuming Dunkin' Donuts still sells extra large coffees. At that time, I was probably drinking about 5 of those a day. And I wasn't drinking any water at all.
Mhm.
My liver did detox. The detox worked, but I started dumping toxins into my bloodstream, and I did not have enough water in my bloodstream to push it around. So my skin broke out in a way that took me about 5 or 6 years to heal. I felt terrible. I felt worse. The thing that was supposed to help me to heal my body actually made me worse because the conductivity was not there to push things through. That's a physical reaction. On a frequency level, the same thing is true. When you're bringing frequency into the body, it is extremely important to have a good amount of water in the system to flush that frequency through, because if the frequency gets stopped and blocked, people could have some sort of reaction to it. And so when people tell me in practice that I drink enough water, if I dig a little bit deeper, usually they don't. So I would say that if she is in the best of health, then she should be drinking about half her body weight in ounces of water when you're going to be doing regular frequencies on her. I suspect she's not in the best of health. And so if that is the case, then she probably needs to be doing more. And if I were you, my recommendation would be to cut back on how much frequency I send her way until she's properly hydrated to do it or to accept it. Another thing to consider is chiropractic care. I don't know whether or not your grandmother can get someplace in order to make sure that spine, because you're dealing with the brain and the spine and the information that's being sent back and forth between the two. And I think that there is a spot, some frequencies inside of the AL scanner that you can run for the spine. I don't know whether or not you are a member of my wellness portal, but if For those who, okay, well, for those who are, there's a chiropractic and a spine frequency inside of there to run. But that's where I would start. If she's having a negative reaction, I would start with low doses, and I would start with making sure she's nice and hydrated. Sorry, I took the long way around asking or answering that for you.
Right. Well, I agree with all that. I know she drinks quite a bit of water because she takes a ton of supplements, but she's also taken a ton of supplements on top of the frequency, and her body just she has a lot of issues. And I'll check with her on the water and see. I was gonna ask one other thing about that. Let's see. On the So would I put together a playlist, or just maybe I could just do the scan? Like, I didn't run a playlist on her. I only did I did a body scan today since she hadn't done one for a while. And so I haven't run any frequencies for quite a while on her.
Yeah, the body scan from my perspective is going to be pretty intensive on the body. I would probably run vitals. And
Oh, wait, so I did inner voice with vitals, and then I did the body scan after that.
yeah, the body scan is a lot on the body.
So maybe just the easy scan with her,
The
because
easy
if I'm
scan
not with her,
or the vitals scan solo. I'm not saying don't do the inner voice with vitals, but the vitals that's not the same as doing the vital scan, because that's a scan and optimization. And I just want a quick trip, a quick trick. Are you aware that when you run a vitals scan solo, that you can still see what that I mean vitals. When you run a vitals scan solo, you can still go back into the easy scan portion to see it in that view, so that you're not dominated by the whole scan. You can just see what remained out of balance. Were you aware of that?
no.
Okay. So,
So are you saying that, well, if I do the vitals, I can go back to the easy scan and look at the report,
yes. Yeah. Oh,
and
I did.
it'll
Yeah.
update the frequencies then on there that have been balanced, or?
They will completely update. So
Ooh.
if you go right here now and do, if I were to go here and do a vital scan and then optimize, and then after I'm done, I just go back out of here and I go back here and I go back to this easy scan, and I just look at the report. I don't do an actual scan. You'll see
and it'll
differences.
update.
Like, for instance, you see this scan was run at the top. It says 621 at 812. Now you saw that I did a scan already today, so that's not completely accurate, but this top portion was done then. And then when you get down here to vitals, see this vitals report? This vitals report was from 621, but it will be from whatever last time you just did vitals. If you go back to this easy scan view when you're done, that's what will actually show up. Not the vitals from the easy scan that you did. The vitals that you just did will show up there, and it allows you to look at it so much better. I don't know about you, but I like looking at it from this view more than I like looking at it from the vitals view. And that's a trick that I learned about 3 months ago, and I was overwhelmed when I found that out.
Well, that's a great trick. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much. I'll share this with her later. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else?
No, I'll let you get to the next person. Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right. So I am going to go back over here. And so I think I got to everybody there. Really, really quickly, I want to let people know we're going to be doing this. This is a prototype of what I'm going to be doing twice monthly inside of my my membership. And what is my membership, one might ask? It's called the Dr. Darrell's Quantum Wellness Portal. It's brand new. It's been updated. It has so many different features. I'm going to quickly go through them. First feature that it has is thousands of recipes and meal plans and meal types. Allows you to send recipes to yourself and print them out and add them to a specific meal plan for you and your family, so that you can take these recipes and eat more healthy. Thousands of recipes of all different meal types, but you can customize your own meal plans, or you could use the pre-made ones. That's one part of the portal. Another part of the portal is a bunch of imprintable frequencies. They're called infoceuticals. You can imprint them. For those of you who have the AO scanner, you can imprint them into yourself utilizing the bone conducting headsets. But if you have one of these IC glow pads, you can imprint them into your water, into your pellets, into your jewelry, right into your body, because the new one allows you to hang it right over your thymus or sternum, excuse me, and bring that frequency right into the body. And we have so many different versions of imprintables right inside. We have a bunch of meditations, affirmations, creative visualizations. I've been screwing that up and I just said it right, so I'm not going to try it again. And a bunch of different sound therapies. All of these things, we add more to them every single month. And these are things that can be utilized to help you meditate, to help you center yourself. All of this just really, sound therapy is absolutely amazing, and we're adding more into that library constantly. I'm going to be going over a case study in a second with one of my clients, and I'll show you where inside of there you have that. For those of you who have the terahertz wand, we have charts that are inside there that allow you to look at various health conditions, and it gives you points on the body that you can use the wand to stimulate. The wand or the red laser, either one. The wand is just going to go so much deeper. Points on the body. So we have all of these various charts with various conditions that allow you to treat specific parts of the body with the terahertz wand or the illuminator. Also, we have ear charts because the ear is a microsystem and it's full of all of the same types of categories of illnesses or disorders, and with the specific points on the ear and the body in order to stimulate to bring the body back into balance. We have training classes, like we're going to have at least 2 of these a month. They're always going to be included inside of your membership. And we also have master training classes. Like I don't know how many people here were inside of my flower essence class, but that class and the auriculotherapy class is coming up in a couple of weeks. Those classes are always included. These are $75 classes, but they are always included in your membership. The previous classes, the other live classes, and then we have a ton of pre-recorded classes that we're going to be loading into the membership. They will all be for sale overall, but those people who are members literally never pay for any of these classes. Cephy groups, we are starting our first Cephy group next week. In our Cephy groups, we're going to be supporting them with the sound therapy from the portal. So every day you're going to get sound therapy or creative visualizations to go with whatever Cephy group that we're doing. First Cephy group that we're going to be doing is overcoming limiting beliefs. So we're going to have our special group for that. We're going to be doing frequencies every day for 14 days, but every day we're also going to give you a sound therapy to listen to and affirmations to do in order to help that out. And we're going to have a community chat, and we're going to, have your Solex support. These are the Ask Dr. Darryl live sessions. Technically, I think I've just renamed them to What Would Dr. Darryl Do? But you can ask about your scans, you can ask about your conditions, things about natural health. And again, if you have links to your scans, we can start pulling those up as well. Right now, we are in the founding phase of it. The price will never be this price ever again. It's $47 a month, or $126 a quarter, or $450 per year. You can just go to drdarrellwellness.com/portal or click on that QR code right there. The price of this membership is going to be $97, but it will not go up for the founding members for at least 2 years, and it might not even go up at that point. We're just going to have to see. But this will be your locked-in rate unless you unsubscribe for it at least 2 years. At $47, we literally are never going back to that again. And again, all of the courses and classes that we do will be included, and we'll be doing this version of it twice a month. All right, I'm going to go over here and let me see. Yes, it worked. So forgiving the blackouts, but this is a actual client of mine, so I did not want, he's not on this live, so I didn't want his name and his information put up here. This is the last inner voice scan. You know what? I'm gonna go over to his last easy scan. I'm gonna start with his easy scan. Now, for those of you who know anything about computers, you can see that these are PDF files. I don't have the hookup with Solex. They did not create new ways for me to get reports. I had to this had to be done. I had to take screenshots and I had to create a PDF out of this as I was blocking out information. But this is what I wish that they would do for us. So I want to go through this. First of all, let me tell you about this gentleman. He suffers from depression. That's the reason why he came to me. And he very recently lost a close family member, and he started to have his depression started to get really, really bad again during that time. And he started having headaches, he started having backaches, and he started having digestive issues. That's the backdrop of this scan. That's what I mean when I say case study. This is his information. And so the first thing that I'm looking at here are the top supplements that come up, because now we're looking at Easy Scan. Now these are going to be the supplements that are in the scanner, along with supplements that I use inside of my practice. And actually everything that came up here was homeopathic for him, except for bone calcium. But because I know what emotional roller coaster he's going through, ultimate emotions coming up, I make that a priority. Meaning I'm going to make sure that I add that to a playlist, because I know, see, that's where these scans come to life, when you know what you're dealing with and you know the person and you know what they're experiencing. When you know that, you're looking at the scan in a completely different way than when somebody is feeling great and you do a scan and see something that comes up. If I'm feeling amazing and something pops up one time, I give it no weight. If someone is feeling emotionally in turmoil and ultimate emotions come up, now the frequency has matched the physical. So the physical manifestations that he had when he walked in is being matched by the frequency that his energy or his aura is giving out. And so now I'm looking at that in a completely different way. All right. Bone calcium. Maybe he needs some calcium in his system, and that also could be why he's having some of the body aches, but it could very well be spurred on by the depression of losing the relative. All right. So I'm going to go down here. He had one thing in blood, one thing in CBC. I'm not going to give a whole lot of weight to that. He had his chakras that were almost all balanced. He did have the root chakra that was a 1, but the scan brought it back up to a 3. A 3 is green, but it is barely, it's barely green. And so I will, root chakra, joint pain, lower back ache, elimination problems, obesity, constipation, anorexia, poor immune system function. His before number is important to me because it matches his symptoms. If it didn't match any of his symptoms, then it wouldn't be as important to me. So I'm going to look at his meridians. So he has several meridians that are not double greens. The meridians don't seem to be crazy out of balance, but I look at what was out of balance prior to the optimization. The lung was a 1 prior to optimization, and optimizing it brought it back up to a 3. Now, the lung is very crucial, especially the lung meridian, to grief. When someone is down and they've been crying, the lung meridian will take a hit all the time, because that's the area of energy that regulates that emotion. Well, part of what regulates that emotion. The heart meridian was thrown out of balance. Because I know he's dealing with that, that means a little something more to me than it probably will other people. Small intestine was a 9 and it got down to a 7. Again, barely coming back into balance, but I'm still going to keep note of the small intestine meridian being out of balance before. The liver was out of balance before. The liver has the emotional frequency of anger. And when somebody is dealing with an emotional imbalance, severe emotional imbalances, I'm looking at that scan again from a completely emotional concept. So now I'm looking at what categories are continuously showing up out of balance. each one of these things has a one thing in it. I'm not really, nothing is standing out to me. Bags under his eyes, his eye health, lymphatic obstruction. It could very well be because he has been crying a lot. So again, I understand why that is. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I feel like I know why. Bone and mineral density disease, calcium loss. Now, if you remember up top, we had bone calcium, which was the supplement that was showing that his body actually needed. And then that shows up here as well. Now, remember, that bone calcium that I use is from a whole different company. It's not even Solex. And so that helps to validate that particular connection. All right. So his skin index, there's a couple of things happening here with skin. So we have 3 things that are out of balance in this one category. So you're going to see a couple of these repeating itself because I took images. Like these are screenshots that were just put one on top of the other so I could make this. So we have allergy. We have 3 things in the allergies, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 things inside of the parasites. So when you are dealing with parasites, and I don't know that he has parasites, I'm not diagnosing him with parasites, but the frequency of parasites is not balanced in this man. When you are dealing with parasite imbalance, you're dealing with the emotional fray that parasites bring, and they bring a lot. So let me go down here, and these are the portions of the comprehensive digestive system. We walked into it knowing that his digestive system was out of balance. Spleen is showing here, and then a chromosome. So now, what am I doing with that? Let me go back over here to my Quantum Wellness portal. Inside my Quantum Wellness portal, we use a program called Practice Better. And so a couple of things. Inside of the infoceutical section, we have what are known as Rife frequencies. I'm going to go down here to P, and I'm going to have him, this is a protocol that I would have him run. I would have him listen to this particular sound frequency for parasites, because I see parasites on his scan in mass numbers, and I know the type of an emotional toil that parasites can have. So I'm going to put that on his treatment plan. This is something he would do himself because he has access to this particular membership. This is part of the Quantum Wellness portal. I'm also going to go back in here, and I'm going to go to A. And because I know what he's been going through, I'm going to have him listen to this adrenal fatigue frequency. I'm having him listen to it with headphones or bone conductors. And I want him to just sit back and listen to that, because we have the frequency for parasites we want to give that are out of balance. We want to give the body the frequency to balance it out. I know that his adrenal glands have taken a hit because of what's happening to him. And I want to give his adrenal glands the frequencies that's necessary physically to bring it into the body in an audible way in order to help to balance that out. All right. So I am also going to personally, he does not have the AL scanner. So I ran a playlist on him for the Ultimate Emotions, and I imprinted Ultimate Emotions inside of pellets for him. All right. I'm going to go back into the infoceuticals section. I'm sorry, not the infoceuticals. I'm going to go in the infoceutical section, and nope, sound therapy. Sorry. And I have a section in here for AL scan support. And I'm going to go down here to organs and imbalances. And I'm going to have him run this particular one. Again, this is a sound therapy, but he could run this one if he had that icy glow pad. He could infuse it into his own water or infuse it in his own body. I'm going to have him run this pancreas support and heart support. And because I know he's having back pain, I'm going to have him run this particular spine support. And that is going to be his protocol throughout the week to make sure that he constantly brings those frequencies in. Yes. So let me go back over here to his scan. and let me look at his inner voice report. Looking at these numbers up top, nothing on the high levels is really sticking out. He's got 12.2 or 13.2, and then 12, and then 10, and then he goes all the way down. His lowest number is 3.4, and his second lowest number is 3.5. Nothing is an outlier from out of those four. Nothing is an outlier for the other. So in this case, I'm going to give everything in his scan the same weight. I'm not going to say anything stands out more than the other. Now I'm looking at his scan from the standpoint of what stands out with what I know about what's going on with him. Top emotion is conflicting beliefs versus congruent beliefs. Now, I know that when someone that you love passes away, it's very difficult for you to understand how and why this actually happens. So this makes total sense to me. I'm giving his vitals a little bit of weight, but I'm seeing parasites being potential causes here. I'm seeing lungs showing up here. And I know that he's been crying, and I know that the lung meridian and the energy in this area of the lungs take a hit when you're dealing with anxiety and depression and those types of things. Angry versus accepting of change. This makes complete sense. When someone closest to me dies, I had my stepson passed away almost a year ago. We're really coming up on a year, and I was very angry. I was very, very, very angry. And it's taking me a really long time to not be angry over that and to accept this particular change, because he was 26 years old. This isn't supposed to happen. And I was angry at him because from my perspective, he made it happen. And so these are not necessarily rational feelings, but it is the reality that we live in. It's very difficult to accept this particular change. Right. And so it looks like the nervous system, the pancreas, the digestive system. And I would look at these imbalances and see what continues to stand out. Anger, disappointed, and nervous exhaustion. So we're going to utilize the ultimate emotions to help him with those things, or we did use the ultimate emotions to help him with those things. What is this? G, fear versus confidence. Life planning conflict. I mean, when someone passes away, it makes you think about your own mortality. We have the heart again. We have the liver and the brain, the spine, these connectors, these things that push information through the body. We're looking at, I'm hopefully the spine support that I added to his protocol in the Quantum Wellness Portal helped with that. But also, hopefully, the ultimate emotions will help the brain to calm down and relax. And then finally, we are at G sharp. Anxiety, depression, frustration. Again, it makes sense on where he is. And all of this, what I really want you to understand when you're looking at analyzing scans, you are analyzing it either where the person is, what they're dealing with, and does that make sense with what they're dealing with. If you're dealing with somebody who doesn't have any health issues, if you're dealing with somebody who doesn't have a physical manifestation, then I look at it in a completely different way. I look at it from the standpoint of out of balanced frequencies. And then when things continue to show out of balance from a frequency standpoint, I try to correct them so that they don't manifest on a physical standpoint. All right. I don't see any more hands. Let me see whether or not there are any comments in here that I need to bring in, because I can do that. Brigitte said, thank you. That clarifies it even more. I wish I knew what she was talking about, but I'm so glad that I did. Let's see. Tim. Thank you, Dr. Darrell. Australia. All your information is greatly appreciated. We never stop learning. When you stop learning, you're done. You're done. So let's not stop learning ever. All right. Just a tip. It's technically a JPEG or PNG. When you email the inner voice or any of the reports, they come with attached files and you can download them so you don't have to screenshot. Yeah, Emily, I don't have to screenshot inner voice. What I screenshot was the easy scan. That's a totally different thing. So The easy scan does not come in JPEG form. I wish that they did, but the easy scan does not come. So I had to take screenshots of the easy scan, scroll down, screenshot, scroll down, screenshot. I wish that you were right about that. I wish that that came in a PNG file. It doesn't. Beth, will